Yeah, the one who won the
Oh, Chris
award.
is on there.
Oh, that, I thought it was
Yeah,
that
no,
house.
it's not that one, it's on
Oh.
third.
Okay, well,
Which
that
house
guy
on
had
Third?
YouTube channel.
We did the Edith Ann Award this year, 217.
Oh, the brick? Poppet's
Chris
house.
And Tim.
It's a Poppet's house.
It's beautiful.
Yes,
Great.
across the street from where I used to live.
That is true. Did you see the Grand Marshal for the parade?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
Paul Schultz.
Oh, good. Love that. Okay, we'll get started here in about 30 seconds.
Who's this?
Did you grab
Billy.
the
But I don't know if she, we don't know if she's coming.
We know that Lincoln RSVP, yes, we
Okay.
didn't hear from Billy.
Okay,
So if Lincoln comes in the next little bit, we'll set him up. I
okay.
was gonna say throw him up, but that's.
Yeah, no, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Four is enough?
All right, the on-air light's on. I'll call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. The minutes from July 18th, could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries, the minutes are approved. Public hearing. Chicken ordinance. Could I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
The motion and a second to open the public hearing pertaining to the chicken ordinance. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I guess the public hearing is open. Erin, what do you want to talk about? Chickens?
Chickens. Also want to say welcome to Eric and Lincoln up to the dais.
Yes, welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. So we've been talking about chickens for a couple of weeks now. The city council prompted this discussion at their July 1st work session. Planning Commission then reviewed the information at the July 18th meeting, provided some feedback, which we took into consideration. We did some updating to the ordinance. We posted for the public hearing. In general, the proposed ordinance allows chickens in residential areas, not roosters, a maximum of 6 hens. It sets setbacks, creates a permitting process through the city, so it cleans up the process, allows us to permit chickens in general in residential areas, and it creates coop and run requirements, which the Planning Commission had some feedback on. The red line version was included in the packet, as well as a proposed version. So tonight, a public hearing is required because a portion of it will live in the zoning code as a permitted use. It was posted in the Waconia Patriot, which is the city's newspaper, and at City Hall. So our request tonight is for the Planning Commission to hold the public hearing, take feedback, have a discussion if you would like, and make a recommendation to the City Council. So I'll open it up to you. We can talk through the red line version or the proposed version, whichever you would prefer.
First, let's ask if there's anybody from the public here to talk about chickens. Okay. Did we go through the red line version last time?
So this is a new version based on your conversation at the last
All right.
meeting. But we took all your feedback. I met with the city attorney and he said that's all fine. So there's no substantial changes besides the feedback that was provided, so
Okay, so the version that was in our packet is the most recent version.
yes. A couple of the most substantial things is we added this provision that anything in the historic district would have to be reviewed by the HBC. And then, as the Planning Commission does, you cleaned up some of the language, got rid of some redundancy throughout.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or concerns or feelings about what's in the chicken ordinance?
I have a question, and it might be more of a clarification.
Sure.
So 233A, the first line is taken out, and it talks about daylight hours, but it never talks in the rest of the ordinance about evening, like nighttime hours. Is anything needed for that?
I would say no, because since it says they are not, during daylight hours, chicken must be secured in a Cooper run if supervised. I'd say I believe that to be true because it's not mentioned.
Okay.
That chickens can be out only during daylight hours.
And,
Doesn't say only.
All right, we'll add only.
Well, if we want to be clear,
and then is there a difference between enclosed and fully fenced-in yard?
Within an enclosed and fully fenced. No.
Okay.
do you want to change it?
Well, when I thought of like enclosed, I'm like, do you need like a roof? Like it didn't make sense to me. Yeah. So I would just call it a fully fenced-in yard.
Okay.
How about a fully enclosed yard?
Yeah.
Of course, then they might still think we need a roof.
Let's get rid of enclosed. It sounds like that's
All right.
tripping you up. Let's do fully fenced.
Okay.
I have another one. Do you want me to
Yeah.
go to that one too?
Yeah.
It is 6-233F. Didn't we talk about taking out the except for chickens under 6 weeks of age?
Chickens.
Just saying they must be kept outside the residential house or attached garage. We weren't putting limitations on, like if they're sick and dying or
Yeah.
they need to sleep in a bed or a rationale of why they need to be in the house.
I'm going to say since it says permanently kept, I feel comfortable with that. So if a chicken is ill and needs some indoor attention, I wouldn't consider that a permanent condition.
Correct. I just wanted to get rid of that part after the comma.
Except that,
Well, that is an exception.
yeah. So if you have baby chicks, you could have them in your garage.
Okay. And I'm okay with that.
Okay. Another one?
That's
You
all I
sure?
had. Yep.
Okay. Gentlemen, anything?
Nothing.
Do we want to leave the public hearing open for a while and
Sure. And
in
then
case somebody wants to talk about chicken ordinance?
before one of you makes a motion, if you move towards recommendation of the city council, I will walk you through how we will include the language that Krista provided
Okay,
as part of your recommendation.
okay. That sounds good. Okay, so we're going to leave this public hearing open for a little bit. Okay. Old business. Zoning ordinance work, our favorite thing, you guys.
I know.
Different definitions of fun.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Erin, do you want to say anything before we get started?
I do, 1 second.
Huh?
Sorry, I was finishing up a note.
Gotcha.
This was a big bite that we took off
It
the
was.
zoning code, so thank you for working through it. As you know, we've been working through this for 18-ish months, so we're coming to close to the end, I would say. This is a pretty substantial portion. Up next is also pretty substantial, so things like the bluff ordinance, a buffering ordinance will be part of the next version we look at. But there are some pretty substantial changes to some of the information. A lot of it was removed. So there was a portion of a PCD application where at no time could a project come in and just apply for a PCD. It's a rezoning process. So it was redundant based on our zoning portion of our subdivision chapter. So reading through it, I thought it was pretty clunky to have that information in both places, and the information was pretty different. The things that were included in the section you reviewed tonight, frankly, I have never looked to for instruction on how to administer a PCD approval, so removing a pretty substantial section of that. And then we did.
It does really streamline it too. I mean,
Yeah.
it-
I hope so. That's
More
always my goal.
understandable, too.
Yeah. And then there was some work done to the commercial district. So we've talked at this level before about our freeway commercial district and how we use that pretty liberally throughout our community, even when it doesn't naturally apply. So things like Carver Square, where Mizzy's Pizza is, Carver Dental, chiropractor, vet, etc. That property is zoned freeway commercial when there's no freeway in sight if you're standing in Carver Square. So wanting to give some information about our commercial districts. So on the left is our current zoning map. So these are the things we know to be true in Carver right now. So this is our zoning map with our current city limits. And you'll see the red is the property that is commercial right now. So it's Fleet Farm, north of Highway 212, Carver Commons, where Quick Trip, Next Steps, Hometown Bank is right now. And then here is that Carver Square property that I was talking about. So Mizzy's, Carver Dental, et cetera. So through some discussions we've been having, both at this level and at City Council, and work that we've been doing with the JCP project, the County Road 40 project, we've been really trying to lean into Carver's gateways, figuring out what Carver looks like when you first come into the community, adding a lot of monumentation where we can, trying to come up with consistent themes that people can see throughout the community. So it's often the limestone block that you see. We streamlined it as far as that every retaining wall, every city retaining wall that goes into the city is the same color. It's down to us matching bridges downtown. So trying to create a consistent, cohesive feel when you enter into the city of Carver. So we've had some conversations with developers in Carver's Commons recently, so where Hometown is, about some property that's directly adjacent to County Road 11. And we had some feedback from both the Planning Commission and City Council about the types of users that we would want to see there, with it being such a major gateway in our community. So at that point, we have taken a step back at the staff level and tried to be more thoughtful about what that zoning district would look like. So thinking about freeway commercial, it has its uses, it has its places in the community, but uses directly adjacent to County Road 11, we would like to protect a little bit more to preserve to more neighborhood commercial level, so to allow for people to use the spaces differently instead of just driving up with your car, parking, getting out, coming back. So trying to create more of neighborhood nodes with that gateway commercial to allow for us to set the tone for Carver along County Road 11 and then County Road 43. So obviously we are not close to County Road 43 right now. We end about here is Timber Creek. But in our 2040 comp plan, there is an additional county road that will come into the city, so 43. So the gateway commercial district would also apply to properties directly adjacent. And then there's a little commercial node here at the split to Jordan as well. So thinking about that as an additional gateway to Carver. So coming up from the south, coming into Carver, what do we want it to look like? The type of monumentation, what we might see in that commercial node there. So there are some specific properties that it would impact along County Road 11, so I'll go through those quick. So directly adjacent to Fleet Farm. So full disclosure, the two gentlemen in the room here have a vested interest in this property. So we'll talk a little bit. This is the Oppidan piece, so this would be a property that's undeveloped that would go under that gateway commercial zoning district. Any remaining sites in Carver Commons. So this is Hometown Bank right here. There's going to be an open lot here, and then the Les Schwab is proposed on a site north of that. So it would be this user here that could be impacted by the gateway commercial. And then some additional areas as we continue to grow. So at 43, the split to Jordan, and then way up north where we're going to meet Victoria. So again, we are not close here. This is Lakeview, so it'll be probably, well, Wickenhauser just came into city limits, so we're starting to creep up there a little bit, but wanting to think again as that entrance as you come into Carver. So those are a couple of the big changes that are in the zoning code. I know it was a hefty packet this time. So I'm going to pull up the version. Cindy's requested that we go through the red line version so we can compare a little bit. So I'll pull that up now, and we can get started. All right, so it starts with the agricultural district, which is section 50-63. And I will open it up for you to all discuss. Let this discussion go where it goes.
Yeah, I'm just going to suggest we start at the top and work our way down. Any questions, comments, concerns, bring them up. Okay, so agricultural. Number 1, intent.
Oh, I thought you were going to start there. I got really nervous that we were going to be here all night.
No, I mean, I don't have anything at all for agricultural. I don't have any concerns or.
I just got one question with
Sure.
2C. It's more I guess, a terminology thing. So the section's titled agricultural, but it's usually talks horticultural. My understanding horticultural is only plant-based products. Is that intentional, or do we want to change that to agricultural to allow livestock usage? You know, storage of stuff that has agricultural use, not just strictly horticultural
Sure.
use.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Going once? Fine, no issue?
I don't care.
Okay.
It's something in the bottom of that page for conditional uses. So mining, excavation. Conditional use means they have to come in with a permit because it's not allowed.
So it's allowed conditionally. So the planning commission would review, the city council would review, a public hearing would be held. A conditional use permit is specific to the property, so we'd be able to do a review of what the user is and set specific conditions for it. So an example of someone that had a conditional use permit, Jim, you're gonna say they didn't follow it and it was terrible, was the My Pillow factory. So there was a conditional use permit for that property, for that project, that stated you cannot bring trucks in past 8 PM. You can't have lighting on past 9 PM. So it's an additional permitting process and review process that would allow us to set some conditions to allow that user.
Okay.
And that normally has to be checked regularly.
Correct, yes, annually, yep. And I will say, it's stated in the beginning of the ordinance, we're not going to annex property to hold it as an agricultural use. That's not a goal for the city right now, especially with our requirements to connect to city sewer and water. There are a couple of agricultural properties in city limits right now, so there's a couple along Mount Hope Road, so those larger properties that are being used, they're welcome to do so, so we need to have this district. But it's not the intent of the city or the comp plan to bring a farm property in to have them within city limits.
Satisfied with that? Okay. Anything else in section 50-63?
Just a quick question. If you did bring property and kept it agricultural, could the city offer more control over what can be done on that property than the township could?
Yes, but we wouldn't do it.
We wouldn't do it now.
Correct. Yeah, so we would have to meet our density requirements for the Met Council. So a large farmstead wouldn't meet that requirement. We also likely wouldn't be able to service them with city sewer and water if they're on a large property for one house, just cost-wise.
Would you have to provide sewer and water?
Yes, to annex into the city, you need to have connection to city sewer and water.
Okay.
Okay, everybody cool, moving on to 50-64? I have just something small here on number 1. It says to recognize the historic downtown area, blah, 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 blah. And then the last sentence, certain areas of the central business district are regulated by historic preservation regulations. I think we should insert the word downtown before central,
Sure.
just to reemphasize that we're talking about the downtown. And then I have one more thing on this page, and that is, I'm not questioning like why this is. I want to know why this is this way. The permitted uses, commercial establishments excluding pawn shops, firearms sales, and payday loan agencies or currency exchange. Why are those excluded? I guess I'm
I
asking.
had the same question.
What section are you in?
I'm number 2 under
2A.
permitted uses.
Oh, I see.
I mean, is it just because it's always been that way? Because
I think those require conditional use permit. I think it's down later, as I recall.
Okay, you're in 2 permitted uses,
2A.
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 Conditional uses.
Oh, I see, it's right here.
Yeah.
I was looking
Right at
in
the
the
beginning.
list. I would say, yes, that it has always been that way, and then naturally, I would say we would tuck these uses in the industrial district.
Okay.
Industrial is kind of a catch-all for things that you don't want
I get
in
it.
other commercial areas, frankly.
Currency exchange? I mean, okay.
I will also say it raises a good point about our city code right now, is that a lot of it is, I haven't seen a
Ancient?
currency exchange in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Cindy, I know we connected about auction houses.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that since. And like, when was the last time you saw a new auction house pop up? So if we want to fully remove some of these because they're irrelevant or things that we don't think will be part of our community, I'm absolutely open to that.
Well, this is personal opinion. Obviously, people have different feelings about pawn shops, payday loans, that kind of stuff, and sure there's a certain aesthetic the city is going for. Personally, I'd like to see that just removed, just loosen it up a little bit, but I'm probably in the minority on that one. Just, I feel like we're tying our hands on certain segment of the commercial establishments that could establish down, or
You'd like,
put roots
I'm
downtown.
trying to understand, are you saying you'd like to see
Just get rid of the pawn shop, firearms, payday loans.
this, the part that's in parentheses, just take it out? Or,
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, just to loosen it up a little bit.
So I will say if you take it out, that makes it
That
a
makes it so-
non-permitted use. Okay.
No problem with that.
I think that contradicts what you're saying, though. So if we strike that portion of it,
but do you want it here in the downtown commercial district? That's what we're talking about now, is this area.
And this is all,
Limited-
this is all a matter of personal preference. Some people would have feelings one way or the other with it. You'd same thing with, say with the bars or smoke shops or kind of businesses. It's just a matter of personal preference. I mean, there's no really empirical
the
data
rest of the
one way
board
or
think?
another to support if it needs to be there or not. But it's personal opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm just asking what the rest of the board thinks, and we can get a consensus.
What I don't see is anything about adult businesses
yeah.
or,
That's in a different section.
So reminder that if it's not listed as a permitted use, it is not permitted.
Right.
But we can absolutely add adult entertainment to that list as well.
What about political?
Hmm?
Like like a political store, I don't know.
You mean a store that sells political merchandise?
Yeah,
I would say that's a commercial user and it's
Yeah.
probably a First Amendment
Yeah, you probably.
portion.
Yeah, definitely a First Amendment thing.
But, so we probably couldn't say no political organizations, but it would have to go through the HBC. So if you think about a place and if you're worried about like signage being everywhere, you wouldn't be able to downtown at least.
I think the ordinance is written in a way that it tells you what you can have where. And those are, some of these establishments are not ones that you want like front and center.
Yeah,
I think it's written appropriately.
okay. Jim?
we're being very selective in what we want to allow, not allow. So, let's take
No,
one.
it's mostly where we want to allow it, which is kind of our job.
Well, is a pawn shop any different than cannabis store? Right, I mean,
I mean,
we are not making decisions here on public safety, but on public attitudes.
I see what you mean.
I might, so would we maybe make that a conditional use, right? Because Erin, if it's a permitted use, right, they wouldn't necessarily have any extra requirements we could add. But if we move those to conditional uses, we'd still allow them, but it would allow the city and the planning commission to make some requirements, right? I mean, hours of operation or other, building type requirements.
Correct.
Does it matter if they're renting the space or owning the space?
So when a business comes into town, there's typically a change of use permit that's required. So they need to get a SAC determination or a sewer availability charge from the Met Council, which is a really technical way to say we can't have a restaurant go in to a place that was previously an office and not have them contribute more to our sewer fund, just because there will be more waste leaving the building. So it's called a change of occupancy permit. So when you rent a building, even if you're just renting the space, it has to go through the city code to make sure it's a permitted use.
Has this ever been brought up by the council when they see? No? Maybe we should dump it on them. Well, I mean, they're the elected leaders. We're just appointed.
Yeah, that's fine.
It boils down to what
We're
are,
advising.
it boils down to what businesses are we gonna discriminate for and against at this point? And do we wanna open up that can of worms?
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to call it discriminating. It's about where we're going to position them.
Well, we're deciding if they can be in that position, so that's discrimination. Deciding which one is good and which one's not.
Well, yeah, then we discriminate against all sorts of businesses, because
Sure.
there's a lot of things that can't be downtown, or either too big or whatever, have to go someplace else.
As long as we can
Or
justify the position, we're
manufacturing.
fine.
I mean,
But we can justify the position, that's fine, yeah, like you say, sewage capacity or size or noise or whatever.
Mhm.
But if we leave it in here, we need to have kind of a thought-out position of why we're excluding these things. Is it based on?
aren't you glad I brought
expediency?
this up? Okay, so what, somebody want to tell me what they think we should do here? I know you think we should just strike it, right? What do you think?
I'll go with keeping it.
Keeping it.
Keep it?
Maybe we should keep it.
Fair enough.
Guess we'll keep it.
So another change that I personally want to talk about is C. So right now, the city code doesn't allow for apartment units on the first level of any buildings downtown, which is great along Broadway to make sure that we're keeping commercial space on the lower level, but it's trickier in other places downtown. So thinking like any buildings down by Carver General, anything in that area can't have an apartment on the first floor. And that block isn't as inherently commercial as Broadway is. So thinking about that change to allow buildings not directly adjacent to Broadway to have apartments on ground level.
What about the one across the street?
So that would be grandfathered in. We wouldn't make it change. If it ever changed uses, which I don't think it ever will, it would have to go with that regulation, but I don't think it's ever going to change uses.
You never know.
Yeah. But what would it change to if it wasn't a commercial user?
It could be a hardware store again.
Yeah, for sure.
And then.
The main level would be
Yeah, and then
hardware. Yep.
Upstairs would be.
Yeah.
Does a Airbnb fall outside of an apartment?
We don't regulate Airbnbs in our city code.
Okay.
As a
But that's
city,
on the second floor anyway, isn't it? Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really? Yep.
how's the city view Airbnb, VRBO? Is they view that as a commercial enterprise or residential?
Typically residential, but we don't regulate it. So if someone were to be using their home as like a boarding house, it falls into different regulations. But Airbnb, VRBO, we don't have regulations against.
Okay.
So you're talking about limiting to the second floor or not on the first floor along Broadway?
Correct. And that's how it is right now. So anyone who's come in, like the building directly adjacent to Carver General was tricky. There was a fire in that building a couple of years ago, and they wanted to reinstate it as a residential use, but that was tricky because they wanted to put apartments on the ground floor. So we were able to grandfather it in because it was a residential use prior, but it was part of the conversation.
I think it makes sense then how it was rewritten.
Okay. Anything else on this page? about the next page?
A lot of shall and wills.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll also mention that the sidewalk cafe ordinance is new, so we've reviewed that information in the past 3-ish years, establishing that process, so it might look and feel a little different, but that's because it's new information.
I do have some questions about the sidewalk cafes, functional requirements, bullet 2, like all the letter sub-bullets. It's more just kind of for my information, but let's talk about sidewalks, passage zones, widths, heights, and all that kind of stuff. Is that fire code related, or is that fire code related? Like it has to have 5 feet wide and 7 feet?
Nope, it's
Or sort of
mostly
canopy of-
ADA accessibility.
Okay. And then also with that, talking about sub-bullet I, no outside bar, cooking facilities, food prep. Is that a health code thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask what a small cell wireless technology is?
Sure. So a couple years ago, a lot of cell phone companies were coming to us and asking if they could place their equipment in city right-of-way. So we went through a process that they could be located on existing city poles, but like AT&T or Verizon would need to go through a process if they wanted to establish their own poles in the community. That was a really buzzy thing like 4 years ago, and nothing ever came of it, but we did it.
Number 3, conditional uses.
Yes, ma'am.
We crossed off brew pub, but we still have production brewery.
I know. I don't know what the difference is on that one.
Well, one, you produce the beer and sell it outside. Of, sell it to vendors or customers outside. And a brew pub, you brew
think it's just
and you let people come in and drink it.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm just wondering,
Should those be switched around?
Yeah,
Or do we care about either of them?
well, production brewery,
In a downtown?
In a
Could be kind of
downtown,
fun.
could be.
that could be,
Probably there were some here at one point.
Yes, that's true.
well, I mean, that's gonna cause other issues with materials you're dealing with and getting rid of them and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
I would think a production brewery would take up more space.
and a conditional use permit would require us to review some of that. I'm open though, if you want to flip-flop that, that's totally fine.
I would leave both of them there, I guess.
Okay.
If you're gonna leave one, why not?
Maybe it'll be a small production.
There are a lot of microbreweries that
Yeah.
are happening now.
Yeah, I guess the question is, what's the delineator between brew pub and production brew? As
I don't
far as
know.
Barrels production.
Yeah,
Per year. I don't know if we need to go that far in weeds and define that.
yeah.
I think we should just leave all 3 of them in and
I
conditional use.
think I'm gonna change the wording of brew pub though. I don't love that as a term. So I'm also thinking in this very moment about distilleries. That feels similar to this conversation. Does that feel like a conditional use to the group?
Yeah, it's the same vein.
Yeah.
I mean, distilling is just brewing, taking one step further. If we could go back to 4, I just want some clarity on this revocation of the special use licenses
Where are
process.
you?
Just the paragraph up, paragraph 4.
Oh, okay.
So reading through this, and I've never been accused of being a smart man, but someone has a violation, they don't fix it, the city has the option to revoke. Okay. So the city delivers on the notice of revocation, I guess, for lack of a better word, by first-class mail. The written notice is delivered, and then they have up to 10 days to respond.
Correct.
Okay, so 4:30 on the 10th day. Now, is the business owner allowed to continue operation? Because after 10 days, the way I'm reading this, the license can be pulled.
Correct.
But if they come in at 4:25 on the 10th day and say, I want to appeal, now the city has up to 30 days to schedule the appeal hearing, does that business operator get to continue operating during that 30-day window, or do they have to shut down operations until they get their appeal hearing?
I would say Within 31,
Because if you go to the last one, you're waiting to revoke it until the very end.
right.
And the,
Yeah, so I'd say they could stay open through the 10 days and then through the 30 days with reading that last version.
So I'm just kind of thinking, like, if I was a business owner and I didn't want to fix this problem, whatever, how long could I kick the can down the road before?
Probably 40 days max.
Yeah, or is it the intent of that passage, like, you don't have to fix 10 days.
Right.
We're stopping your business, you got this appeal process, but you
Right.
have to wait a month before you can start back up again.
So I would say this is not the only mechanism we have to use. So if it's a building safety concern, the building code could shut it down. If it's a fire safety concern, the fire code could shut it down. If it's a food safety, the health code could shut it down. So I'd say if it was anything major that could be directly impactful to the public, there are other means that we could get to if it was a completely dangerous situation that we needed to get rid of.
Okay.
But I would say if it was something where someone was just breaking a rule and being obnoxious, we would go through this process instead.
So I guess this all leads up to the question, is it worthwhile clarifying that the business operator can continue operating until the appeals process is concluded?
Sure. I don't know, sure is not my answer that yes, we should do that, but sure, we can investigate that idea.
Yeah.
and this relates strictly to outdoor sidewalk cafes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep scrolling unless someone tells me to stop.
What?
I'm gonna scroll unless you tell me to stop.
Okay. Stop.
We're industrial already.
Permitted uses, just wondering. Okay, so now we're in the industrial district.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
So we should add some of those uses that we're striking from the central business district.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
In 2B, the warehouse and wholesaling, would self-storage considered industrial?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then number 4. The last sentence there said, number 4 says, conditional uses in the district are as follows. We have these two crossed out, so do we even need conditional use?
That's up
Uses
to
in
you.
the district are as follows. Why don't we,
Or we gotta come up with a list of conditional uses?
Yeah, are there some that you would like to include in that area, but otherwise no?
why don't we just get rid of that? then?
Okay. I love deleting things.
But you can keep the wording around for future use.
That's true, we could reserve it.
Or just put it,
Yeah.
bullet 1, TBD.
All right, you guys.
Or reserve for future use or some kind of placeholder.
I'm still scrolling.
I know.
Stop, sorry, D.
Okay.
All right, galvalium, or probably mispronouncing that,
Galvalume?
galvalume. My understanding that's basically painted metal roof. that's
Correct.
Corrosion resistant.
Yep.
But we're allowing cortine steel, which is intentionally aged, rust looking. So just, we don't want new metal looking buildings and roofs and stuff downtown. We want to stay with the aged aesthetic.
Correct. Well, and it's like it's a pole barn. And I would say we use the Cortine steel pretty frequently as, like aesthetically in the Carver, like our Carver sign is that same steel. So we could,
But if someone put like a metal roof on their business or whatnot.
metal roofs are permitted, but it's the structure.
Okay. 'Cause I'm just looking at the galvanium walls or roofs, parentheses there.
Sure.
I
So it should
realize we're
be-
excluding painted metal roofs.
I'm gonna remove that. I'm just gonna leave it as walls.
Okay.
Erin, just for my question here, the 7C, that's the least restrictive ones, right? From the presentation for the work session? If this is our
Yes.
industrial, not, okay.
Yep.
Okay, intent, 1.
Dang, that was a long scroll, Cindy. All right, public open space.
I just wanted, the very first sentence, the part that's struck, to, intent, to a wide range of social, I think we need to put in a verb, like provide, allow.
The exact same comment.
Look
We need a
at
verb.
that.
We need
Eric
a
and I
verb.
actually read word for word this very boring document.
Will you say how you want it to sound?
I'm gonna say allow, so to allow a wide range of social, cultural, recreational, and infrastructure services.
Oh, you're on okay, you're down here. I see, I see.
Intent.
Okay. I was looking here and I was saying,
Oh,
what is wrong
sorry.
with that sentence?
Yeah.
Okay.
5067.
50-6, okay. To allow.
Yeah. Only because I think we use provide a lot in that. Yeah, we did. How many times do we use provide there, Chris?
Oh, I see.
I figured out.
I see that it says to a wide range.
Yeah, okay. All right, now we're getting to, C.
C.
Yes, C. This is saying what's, hold on a second here. Oh, permitted uses for public institutional. And it says, under C, go to the last sentence, public educational institutions limited to elementary, junior high, and senior high schools. Couldn't we have colleges?
We sure can.
Or technical schools, or,
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't love the word public in there either.
yeah.
Okay.
Like private, meaning?
Yeah, I think it would just be educational
All
establishments.
educational institutions.
Yep, good call.
Halfway there.
Look at us, Boogie.
Are we actually?
We're on page 32 of 66, but we're on the red line version.
Because several we just straight up delete, so.
Everybody okay with that, educational?
Yep.
I like
I'm
that.
just thinking about like tutoring businesses and whatnot, and preschools, how that would fit in there if it even needs to.
I would say preschool, like a daycare, would be a commercial user. I'd say a tutoring service would probably be the same.
Yeah.
I would say these mostly are looking for like not nonprofit businesses.
Yeah, it's just those two things have educational stink on them. Just wonder if they
Yep.
dovetailed in there somehow, or if not, no big deal.
I was just gonna say, shall we keep scrolling, but I'm gonna say, will we keep scrolling
Yes.
instead?
It's a-
All right,
Voted
freeway
for.
commercial.
Okay. First of all, with Freeway Commercial District, can we look at the map again and see where
Yeah,
that is?
for sure. So.
To get it in our heads.
At this very moment, properties that are zoned freeway commercial are Fleet Farm, has a PCD over it, but it is freeway commercial at its core. Carver Commons. Next Steps has a PCD because they needed the reduction of the rear yard setback. Quick Trip does not. I don't think Hometown does. I don't think so. Sorry. I'm sure you would know. You're so invested in this conversation. And then Carver Square. So everything that's red on this map right now is on freeway commercial.
Okay, now, which are the areas that we want to change to gateway?
Anything adjacent to County Road 11.
So,
So-
all things adjacent to County Road 11.
Correct.
Okay,
And future 43 when it's in city limits.
Didn't you have a map with like circles?
Yeah.
okay. So under intent, it says to provide land for development of commercial activities adjacent to Trunk Highway 212. And then it says, the red line version that you want to add, properties adjacent to Jonathan Carver Parkway, County Road 11 will be zoned gateway commercial. I think right after that, in a comma or something, I think we should say C, section 50-69.
Sure.
Because I think it'll just direct people to where they need to be.
Yeah, I agree, because there's also other gateway spots off of 43 and
Yep.
down Carver Road, so, or Jordan Road.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to define them here in 5068-1 or with a referral to the gateway commercial section that we can outline, here are the spots that are designated gateway commercial.
Yep.
And then kind of the same vein, just for clarification, there's no way really to have a conflict between gateway commercial and freeway commercial, like where one has to trump the other, because if a plot comes up, it's gonna be designated one or the other. There's no chance where you got a conflict between the two.
No, it would depend on the property's adjacency to the county roads.
Sure,
So it's where they're located.
Correct.
Yeah.
but besides the essentially 4 spots where zoning is gateway commercial right now, if anything else new comes up, it's gotta come through and get dubbed one or the other, gateway or
Correct.
freeway commercial.
And since
It's not gonna be a spot where like, well, what is it? Is it you're the one. We'll
We
a
don't have-
definitive decision one way or the other.
we don't have a ton of commercial property outside of our city limits, so it's the areas west of Fleet Farm, which is adjacent to a freeway, so I'd say freeway commercial would be applicable. There's a couple tucked in here, which we won't get to for a while. And then this would be Gateway, since it's along County Road 11 as it continues to Jordan, and then here.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're moving into, or we're in freeway commercial district.
Correct.
Anybody else on this page?
I didn't have anything.
Hold on a second. One of you or both of you may come up here and comment.
Will you make sure you turn the mic on, please?
Turn the mic on and please introduce yourself. Introduce yourselves.
Since this section was up, Jay Moore, Oppenheimer Investment Company, 400 Water Street, Excelsior, Minnesota.
And I'm Paul Tucci with Oppenheimer Investment Company, same address.
Okay? What is it you would like to tell us?
Well, we were
And
just
so you
wondering.
know, this isn't a public hearing, this is.
We
Okay,
understand that.
all right.
Yeah, we would like to comment on the proposed zoning. We have owned that piece of land since 2007 in the city of Carver, out in front of Mills Fleet Farm, with the intent that that was freeway commercial land, that it abuts a freeway and also abuts a pretty heavily trafficked county road that it gets to the highway. And so, we've owned this piece of property for 17 years and have had 2 potential users show up to say they want to be there. 2 in 17 years. And so we believe that further restriction of this gateway commercial zoning will prohibit interested parties that want to come to Carver. And so we respectfully object to that proposed zoning. We bought it with the adjacent highway there for highway business uses.
Jay, are you open to sharing what your users were?
Yep. About 3 years ago, we had a senior housing operator come and say they want to put a assisted living care facility in the, I guess, the bottom corner that's south there, the southern portion of that 8-acre property. And then more recently, we've had a gas convenience store, I would say is similar to Quick Trip, want to set up on the what's called the hard corner, which is the most visible, easiest to access. And so,
Wait, the hard corner, is that to the north then?
yeah, sorry.
Yep, okay.
Where the stoplight is, right, adjacent to that.
Okay.
In real estate, it's referred to as the hard corner, sorry.
And I would also add, excuse me, that back, right after we bought it, if those, I don't know who was on commissions or not, if you recall, as the planning was happening for Mills, Walmart was planned on Mr. Lano's spot. And
Yep.
this property, we were joining in, I'll say it that way, with Mr. Lano, and we had gas on that same corner that Jay has referenced. And again, as Jay said, we understand what you're talking about here, but Mr. Jansky brought up when we were talking about downtown, I'll use your word, discrimination of uses to the south of us. If you could pull it out just a little bit, Erin, that would be great. There's a Les Schwab going in, and there's a Quick Trip already there, both on property that abuts County Road 11, but also has freeway exposure, that if we are designated gateway, those uses would not be permitted on our site because they're auto sales. It doesn't seem to be, the fairness doesn't seem to follow in our minds that if we walked in with an application now, and Erin, you can correct me on this, I think we could potentially try to run that through. It'd be a debate on whether the application would be ahead or not of the rezoning. We don't want to go that way. We want to have a discussion about letting us have the uses that are comparable. I mean, our site is no different than the United Properties site. to the
So what are
south.
you looking to put in that, on that?
Well, we have a gas convenience user that if we're
So we'd have
gateway-
3 gas convenience users.
But that's a decision they make as far as what can survive. You can drive, I can put you in the car, I can drive you to 100 corners where there's 3 gas stations, there's 3 restaurants, there's 3 of these, 4 of these. They make a decision based on, as Jay said earlier, we have a high-traffic highway coming off at a very busy county road. The idea was, back when we bought this and the plan, when we talked about the assessments, the access, everything was, this was going to be a freeway commercial-oriented quadrant. So we just feel that the zoning going to Gateway prohibits us unfairly compared to the other users right next to us. Mark Lano could put a gas station in because he's 400 feet off of Jonathan Parkway. Doesn't seem right. That's all we want to point out.
A question for you, sir. The 2 previous possible developers of that site, or it's not the right
Uses.
word. Yeah, there you go. That's the right word. Words matter. Were they discouraged by the zoning at the time? Is that why the property was not developed, or would they walk away from that development use for other reasons?
The senior
Well,
housing.
The senior housing, we approached city staff and said, we have a senior housing operator that'd like to set up in the city of Carver. They said, sorry, the zoning will not allow for that.
Well,
Sorry, it's
Because
not
it's
the
commercial.
zoning, and it's also the comp plan.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
comp plan doesn't have it guided for
Yeah.
a residential user.
what was the other user?
Well,
Oh, it's
The
the
gas
current.
station.
as of,
When did you guys purchase the property?
2007. And it sat vacant, and we're
Yeah.
afraid if this zoning goes in, it's gonna sit vacant for another 50 years. So I know there's
Because was
a
that when
big,
Walmart was supposed to go in?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I remember that. I was
Yeah.
on the council.
And the red section below was bought by United Properties with the vision of Cub Foods coming.
Yep.
The Cub Foods did not come, and
No.
they're not gonna come. And so, we're in the real estate development business. We've been around for 33 years. We've developed 58 grocery stores in the metro.
Why don't you bring us a grocery store?
Because
We
there's not
need
enough,
grocery
there's
store.
not enough population.
Oh, yes, there is.
And there's not. And the other reason is,
How much population we need?
I'm not here to talk about a grocery store. I'm
We-
saying
Oh,
they
okay.
haven't showed up.
I will tell this commission that we have run market studies 4 different times since we've owned it. One of them included the Walmart when they were coming in. That was part of the deal. And every time, other than Walmart saying they were coming, and then the market in 2008 kind of went away from.
Yeah, a little
itself.
bit, huh?
Yeah, wasn't a great day for anybody. Nothing has been able to come in since and make their numbers work. In today's, especially in today's environment, just up the road, although they've announced they're not gonna build, Hy-Vee bought the lot just up the road at Engler. And, we don't know we've done development on that lot right next to him. Jay has done a bunch of industrial there. Not sure what's gonna happen with their lot. The grocers just haven't seen. Someday, will they come? Probably. There will be a grocer somewhere in your community. But
Okay.
we've talked to them 10
All right,
times.
anything else you want to add about your parcel? Because otherwise, we're going to get back to working on this.
Yeah, anything else? I mean,
No, we've bought land in your community, we want to see it develop, and we need help with that, quite frankly.
Okay.
There's not enough depth to put these types of restrictions on what we call interstate commercial land.
I also just want to be really clear, the property's not in city limits right now. It is in Dahlgren Township.
Okay,
and we do owe 220-ish in assessments once we do annexing.
Annex.
So what specifically can't you put in if it's gateway?
Gas convenience
Well, there's.
and auto.
Yeah, there's, again, as you look through the list, yeah, are we gonna do a laundromat? I don't know, you brought up a cannabis store downtown here, we couldn't do that. There's pawn shops, the currency exchange, firearm sales, again, are we gonna do any of that? Could we get, there's Arms and Arms sits next to Menards over in Eden Prairie. They couldn't come onto our site based on that zoning. We couldn't do a car wash. I don't think we could do a tire store. I don't think we could do a Goodyear store. I don't think we could do a Midas muffler store. On a lot that is on two high traffic roads, that's typically where they like to define themselves.
But today, that is zoned how?
It's not zoned, it's in the township.
It's not zoned at all. What is our comp plan?
Commercial.
And that's what they want. Commercial.
So commercial doesn't go like, it doesn't specifically say central business district, it's just red for commercial.
We want to be the same as the two red boxes you see
Yep.
next, to the south and to the west of us.
What, I've always wondered, that house right next to it, is that the person you were referring
That's
to?
Mr. Lano.
Yeah, you're familiar, and he's fine or on board or doesn't have a choice, I assume.
I don't think he's impacted.
Yeah.
He's still freeway commercial.
Yeah.
Still, because ours
He's
butts County Road 11, the proposed new zoning would go into effect.
So Lano is still in the township.
yes,
In our comp plan, it's guided commercial. It is not set for a zoning district.
okay.
If I bought property 17 years ago with the idea to have some passive income and I couldn't, and I saw those other two, I would equally be frustrated.
And one other thing I would like to add is there is an industrial project that's proposed to the north of that yellow circle. So coming in from the north, you're gonna have two industrial buildings, then for a swath of 1,000 feet, gateway commercial, and then freeway interstate off-ramps. It doesn't seem like there's enough long, length of, this is the gateway to the community, in our opinion.
The reality is, what we are doing today is discussing what the requirements would be. What you're concerned about is how it will be zoned in the future when it's annexed,
Correct.
which is totally different. And you've already told Erin what you want, so she will know how to be prepared in the future when those get annexed. But really, today, it's not applicable for what we're doing.
Correct.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Nope.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we here?
I'm gonna say in freeway commercial 50-68.
Okay.
Unless you tell me otherwise.
All right,
Unless
I
you tell
want
me
to
to
go
scroll.
to accessory uses B.
Sure.
Let's see, B 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
Outdoor sales or storage will not be principal use of the property. Car and boat dealerships and similar retail uses are specifically prohibited. I have a question. Where are
Yeah,
car and boat dealerships allowed?
I'm gonna take that out.
Okay.
Should we do hometown bank?
He's just here for fun.
Oh, okay.
Did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
No, I am good.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Keep a pulse, and
All right.
be part of the community.
Sean, you're
Give
welcome.
me a couple minutes, actually.
I was gonna say, you're welcome to leave anytime.
A lot of civic
You'll
engagement.
see us
If you
at-
stay much longer, we're gonna make you come up here and do this with us.
But also,
Next time.
Yeah, sure.
this is a good feel of the work that we do,
I
so.
appreciate it.
You're seeing,
Honestly, it's nice to learn. That's why we come.
Okay, number 5B, 1-5.
Are we going backwards?
Well, B is 5, right?
V.
sorry, I heard B.
Yeah.
Well, it is B. It's
One B.
B accessory users,
B5.
Yes,
Okay, got it.
V.
B 1-5.
Yep.
I think you need to make the addresses longer.
What's that?
We ought to put a couple more columns for.
I know.
addresses.
Okay, on property located in this zoning district, temporary outdoor sales of seasonal products such as, but not limited to, Christmas trees or farm produce may also be conducted for periods not exceeding 6 weeks per calendar year, up to 24 weeks per calendar year for nursery plants and farm produce, so long as adequate paved off-street parking is provided and permanent sanitary facilities are available to sales personnel, provided that the period may be extended by the zoning administrator for a reasonable period. I have a big question mark for that last part. What are we saying here?
I don't
That
know.
is a very run-on sentence, and
I'm gonna
I
stop
think we
at,
need some
We got-
parameters.
Yeah, I don't think we need to build a permanent bathroom.
Yeah,
Christmas tree sales lot.
my suggestion would be to X this portion of it. So long adequate paved off-street parking is provided.
Okay,
I agree
Bye.
with that.
okay.
And won't there always be paved off-street parking since it's a city street?
No, it would have to be in a parking lot.
Okay. But then it's not off-street, on-street. Okay, got it.
There you go, you talked it through.
Okay, C,
C2 for me.
C 1, 2, and 3 for me.
Okay.
I just have a question of what kind of conditions would you put on pawn shops or a payday loan or fire sales? I'm just curious, what kinds of conditions would we put?
The biggest one, the first one that I think about is lighting, so like they're lit signs. So if we wanted to allow those during certain hours of the day, but they can't have the fluorescent illuminated signs on all night, would be something that we would consider.
Is that in the sign ordinance already?
I would say that wouldn't be the only thing we would probably want to consider. That was just the first one that came to my brain. I'd say hours of operation are probably important too. We probably don't want that type of user open till midnight.
What did you have, Eric?
Oh, mine's just a formatting thing.
Okay.
The currency exchange capitalization.
Oh, sure.
I catch it. This happened a second time. It's in the earlier in the document. It seems like currency exchange is always capitalized for some reason.
It's very important.
It is. I lost sleep over it.
Okay. Guys, we're really just zooming right along here.
Wait, go back. I can't figure out exactly what we're saying in 3.
Zoning and setback?
Firearm sales, excluding firearm sales that are incidental portion of the sales for a single retailer operating a store with retail floor area of at least 100,000 square feet, for which firearm sales.
What they're saying is the firearms that are sold at Fleet Farm
Cabela's.
are allowed. They are permitted. So they're saying If it's a store that's over 100,000 square feet and they have a firearms section, it's allowed. If it's smaller than 100,000 square feet, it's not allowed.
It is as a conditional use.
I mean, it's allowed as a conditional use.
Yes.
Right.
How big is Fleet Farm? Just for
6 acres.
50,000.
150,000?
Yeah.
250.
Okay,
That feels, yeah.
okay. I
Roughly.
was on visualizing how big 100,000 square feet is.
Lakeview is 194, so
Okay.
half of Lakeview.
It's a lot.
Hometown's about 5,000.
Okay.
Those are the only ones I can think of.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, now, let's see, where am I? Are
So
we in the
Erin,
gateway yet?
When we get to the cannabis stuff, we'll have to do that instantly, right? Because we don't have any.
What?
Yeah, the cannabis regulations we're going to be working on this fall.
Okay,
The state hasn't given any guidance
Right.
on that.
but
so
we're
we
not doing
can't-
that tonight.
No,
No, yeah, I was just.
but just know that it will be
It'll be in here.
coming.
Okay.
It'll be here.
We could do guidance.
You don't think we're confused enough?
We could.
Okay,
Sorry, I said one more thing about conditional use.
okay,
So I'm just thinking about medical services like dental clinics, that kind of stuff. We're allowed in the downtown commercial.
Yep.
The freeway commercial, I'm not seeing anything as far as permitted or conditional uses. If someone wants to open up a dentist's office or
So I'd say it's a personal
a
service.
urgent care
Yep.
clinic or something like that.
So that's a personal service business.
That was kind of my question, is that fall under that? Because I think, don't quote me, I had to look back here. I feel like that was, you have personal services, which was laundry, barber, shoe repair, photography, and then you have professional services, which was medical and dental. So that's kind of what.
And we
consistency
can,
between the two.
when we do the definitions, we'll maybe beef that up to say
Okay.
urgent care, doctor office, et cetera.
But it feels like with what you just said about the personal services here in this section, it's being used in two different ways in two different sections.
Sure. Let's fix up that definition and go from there.
Or just put professional services, and we already
Sure.
lined out earlier.
Doctor, you said doctor, dentist,
Yeah,
urgent
just
care.
medical or
Okay.
medical, dental, whatever.
Medical adjacent. Okay.
wait, where are you?
You tell me.
I don't know, I can't really look at mine and yours at the same time.
Gateway commercial?
Let's try it.
Gateway commercial, yeah. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, have we gone through it? I wanted to go to D. Uses specifically excluded from this district.
Yep.
All right. Okay, in the Gateway Commercial District, my first question is, would there typically be a building that's over 100,000 square feet or more?
There could be.
Oh, there could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that answers that question.
Sorry. Back to the same vein about the professional services versus personal services. With 2A1, the permitted uses, we got personal services businesses, kind of same vein as with the freeway commercial. Just for consistency, either one definition through the three sections, or we have two different types of services, professional and personal.
Personal. Yep.
Okay, okay, section D.
Cindy, do you want me to elaborate on that thought at all? I am happy to do so. So we've been, I don't have internet connection. We've been talking obviously with the operating group a lot.
Yeah,
about-
please do elaborate.
about what development on the site could look like, because we are not trying to shut down development on the site. We're just trying to be mindful about some of the corridors coming into our community. So brainstorming with them in a room, staff brought up the idea of, we don't know what, Mr. Alano doesn't need to develop. It's absolutely his choice. I don't want to say anything about anything for his property. But Cindy, when you ask, could a business be as large as 100,000 square feet? If they are truly feeling like the site is challenging to develop, what would it look like to combine it with the Alano property and make it a large commercial anchor at a corner in our community. So I will always say that I'm probably the most optimistic person in a room when we're talking to a developer, that like we can figure it out. We are seeing a ton of business. We're getting a lot of calls about it. So that's a thought that I have had. Like, I don't believe that this site is undevelopable. That's my opinion. I obviously am not in real estate, but based on the amount of commercial development that we've been seeing and the types of users that we're seeing, I think the timing of it is just tricky, that they wanted to come in with an additional gas station. There are a couple other layers to this property that don't pertain to the Planning Commission, but are probably helpful. They mentioned that there's an assessment on this property. So the city constructed Levi Griffin Road at the city's expense. So anytime a property comes in off Levi Griffin, they have to pay us back for that. So the Oppidan piece is like $220,000. The JCP Holdings piece is about $600,000. So if the United Properties piece continues to move forward, they pay us back that money. They pay us back that assessment. So that is a piece of the puzzle. So it's part of the narrative. I think the narrative needs to be more of then this property can't develop, because there are some layers to that. There's a big assessment that people probably don't know about, that they think, oh, I can develop that property, and then they come and talk to me and I say, well, you'll owe us $220,000 before you begin. The second piece is that there, as part of the Levi Griffin Road project, there was an agreement, an access agreement that was established by all property owners along the stretch of Levi Griffin Road, determining the access along Levi Griffin. So it should operate as a collector. So what a collector means is that it's a large street with its main objective is to move cars quickly through a space. So we try to limit driveways. Like, we wouldn't allow, if a residential neighborhood goes in, we typically don't allow driveways to go on a collector street, because that is not the goal. It is not the goal to get people into their houses. So you'll see this little access here that gets you into the Lano property. Oh, sorry, you can't see my cursor.
No, we can't.
This tiny access here that gets you into the Lano property and the Oppidan property. It's a temporary condition. So when Lano develops, this access goes away. It's part of that agreement. So all the property owners along that stretch had that agreement and signed it, saying that this is a temporary condition. So the future condition would be that the users come down to Commerce Drive and come back into the site. So after our meeting with the Oppidan group, we reached out to the county just to say, does this still work? Does this agreement still, do we still believe this to be factual? A concern that we had is that it was a gas convenience user with pretty sizable business for truck users. So think about maybe truckers stopping for a significant period of time. And if you have a semi-truck queuing here to get into that site, even if it's just a temporary condition, it's going to back up into
It's like
JCP really
350
quickly.
feet, isn't
It's
it?
really tight.
Yeah.
So we reached out to the county. We asked them to look at it to say, what's your spacing? Does this still track? Do we want to, is this agreement still factual? We haven't heard back from them yet, but typically the county doesn't allow accesses that close to a county road. So I don't discredit anything that they said, but I also want to give some flavor that there are some other pieces to this property. Like, just saying it's not developable, I don't think is fair if you don't understand the story, and it's not the Planning Commission's job to understand that whole story. It's a lot of council work with that previous agreement, but I just want to give you some additional things. When he says we haven't been able to develop it for 17 years, it's not the guidance, it's not the zoning, it's not just the access, it's not the agreement, it's all of those things together, not just the one thing.
The other part of this is Lano was expecting to sell this property,
Correct.
his property,
Yes.
and this piece with it to Walmart.
Yes, that is true.
So I don't know if he would still want to sell it, but I would think he was.
So just to add some additional context to that discussion.
Okay.
Sorry, that was long-winded. Should we go back to the Gateway Commercial District?
Sure.
I have a question on permitted use.
Okay.
Where do we, not, I don't know if this is the correct term, but like, are we looking for individual buildings? Or could it be, I don't want to call it a strip mall, because like down by the roundabout, there's like a building that has 4 doors and 4 businesses could go there. I don't know, do you call that a strip mall?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Where's strip mall in here?
A small strip mall.
So nothing it says that it needs to be like an independent building. So if
Okay.
it wanted to be 4 consumer services in one building, that would be fine.
But strip is never in this document.
No. I would say that's a trendy term.
Okay.
It's like a villa. Just trendy.
It's a little pejorative these days, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
What does entertainment mean? Permitted use. Adult entertainment?
No.
Movie theater,
No, I would say,
like
movie theater?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the first thing I thought
video
of too.
store rental?
Yeah, sure. Wow. we are dating ourselves.
You should probably use a different word.
I would suggest a
And
different
then-
word.
Okay. Fun? No, I'm just kidding.
Nightly?
So I'm thinking about mixed uses.
Yep.
So let's say you have a building with a business on the bottom and apartments up top or something like that.
Well, here you
look.
could have apartments on the bottom and mixed use.
Yeah. It seems
Water slides.
like that might be something we'd want a gateway.
Yeah, so
I'm not seeing
mixed,
the verbiage in here to really allow mixed use. Would that be kind of a PCD type thing or what?
yes, and I would say that would be something that staff, the planning commission, and city council, I would bring that to you as a user. The straight use of a retirement home or a senior living is strictly residential. If they were to come in and say, we have commercial users ground level with residential above, I would say that's much more palatable to fit in that corner as opposed to just residential.
Well, I'm talking about like codifying the gateway commercial district type stuff. Like, so if a mixed use
Yeah.
development comes in, we apply the gateway commercial if we want that, or we go through the PCD route.
We could do either.
Okay.
I would say PCD though. Anytime it's 2 uses being mixed, it's typically a PCD or a PRD.
So we're not helping ourselves by codifying mixed use into the gateway?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Or you are seeing a lot of those buildings now.
I would love to see one in Carver.
What?
Retail bottom, residential
Oh.
top.
Yeah. We should have maybe suggested that.
So, does anyone think of any other permitted uses for a gateway district that seems like not a lot? I'm just
I
trying to
did question
brainstorm.
why there was no
I'm
gas
sure it was
station.
Erin just brainstorming.
Yeah, like no
so I
gas
think-
station or daycare, but then it's also personal service businesses, essential businesses, consumer services. So I didn't know if those were lumped in.
Laundromats?
I would say daycare, yes, would fall into that. What were your other ones?
Like a gas station, like, cause there's Quick Trip there now.
Yeah, and so Quick Trip is not adjacent to a county road.
Oh, it has to be directly on it, not
Correct.
in that lot.
Yes.
Okay. Read.
I would suggest to them that they get involved in the comprehensive plan, which should be starting in 3.5 years. 4.
Yeah.
So why is a laundromat excluded?
It's not a great commercial user right on a corner.
Gateway.
If you would like it to be included, that's fine.
Well, I don't know. Said it's supposed to be more kind of neighborhood things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially if you got some mixed use there, some coming from their apartment, go downstairs.
Cannabis, smokes.
I know, you're really seeing my draft, I'm realizing, because I just wrote drive-throughs, okay. Like that was off the cuff thinking. I think as part of our next version of this, I want to really dial into what personal service businesses are, essential services and professional services, just so you can have an idea of what's encompassed in some of that.
Okay, so are we looking at businesses that are more just like pop in, pop out?
I would say,
Like not restaurants?
no, yes, restaurants, yes.
okay.
With the drive-through, it's okay,
It doesn't have to have a drive-through.
but it can.
So
It's okay.
if I was more professional, that would say restaurants with the option of drive-through, should they so choose.
Here we go, okay.
But instead, you got my,
Drive-through liquor store.
Yes.
New Orleans.
Okay, are we still working on Gateway or?
in general, is this,
I'm kind of with you with the laundromat. I don't see why that's a problem.
I mean, where do you go?
I'll put a
You gotta go
conditional use in
someplace
it.
to wash your rugs and stuff. I'm not putting that in my,
I don't see anything wrong by making a conditional use.
yeah.
Sure. In general, are we supportive of this idea of solidifying the corridors of Carver for this district?
I like that idea because they are gonna be attached a lot to residential neighborhoods, you know? You know, it's,
So is that how you describe the gateway, that it's uses that the people living right there could use?
yeah.
I would think about it as residents of Carver would use. So if I think about a large gas station with a truck user, that's probably not a resident of Carver using that.
Those are passers through.
Correct.
Okay.
The only last thing I have is the brew pub.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it's adjacent to a neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
we got some restaurants and other stuff there. You know, the spectrum of what a brew pub can do kind of goes, it can be strictly just, we serve beer only, or
Mm-hmm.
go to somebody's place, they have a full restaurant menu at that point.
Right.
It's almost like, in some of these cases, essentially like an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays or whatever.
But cooler.
But cooler, yes. So, I mean, there isn't a clear delineation between the two, so I feel like,
Are you advocating for brew pub?
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
advocating
I
for Applebee's.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now, if we're gonna put a brew pub where it's, you know, producing tens of thousands of barrels a year,
Yeah, I
and
mean-
there's no food or whatever, then
And
maybe
it,
you wanna look at that.
and it
but-
probably can't be within so much area, close to
Yeah, but
schools,
like-
like the elementary school, no.
Not like Chanhassen Brewery where
Mm-hmm.
you got- you can bring the kids there, they're doing games and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I know,
Yeah.
but I
You got
think,
good
you know,
food,
just,
That's fine.
Or like Fat Pants in Eden Prairie too.
Yeah.
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 I hear ya.
So why would we not want automotive? Like, I understand that maybe the taking up a car lot, or having used cars or new, whatever kind of cars, but like a mobile detailer, like, or like fix-it station.
Does a mobile detailer have a store?
Oh, they're mobile, they're cleaning the auto detail. So it's not mobile that they're driving their truck around and cleaning cars. It's like an automotive detailer.
automotive detail. Yeah.
It's not mobile, it's,
For auto,
Deals with
automobiles.
Mobile. Mobile
Okay,
detailing.
so, yeah, that couldn't be included.
I would say in general, just automotive focused users are a heavier commercial user. And if you feel passionately that you want them in these spaces, that's totally fine. But just based on conversations that we've had after a couple of projects have come through and just the work that we've done on specific corridors, it has felt like we are going this direction.
Okay.
That's why gas is not in there, right? Because gas is more
Correct.
commercial. Not just because I live on that side, but I'm like, it would be really nice if you're coming, you take a right, go to the gas station, you can get right back on the highway, there's no light.
Yeah.
That's nice when you're traveling, but I get the reasoning there.
Okay. We,
I just had a moment of inspiration, sorry. Back to conditional uses.
Yeah.
How about wine bars? I mean, if we're doing the brew pubs,
Yeah.
a wine bar,
I suspect that someone other than me has a different word for restaurant that would cover that we can include as a permitted use.
yeah, I guess establishment selling
Alcohol sales.
alcohol sales,
Yeah.
food sales combined or something.
Yep.
definitely a theme here tonight.
It's getting late.
Is it making all of you want to frequent one of those establishments?
A little
I
bit.
just stopped by Total Wine today.
Okay, we are getting there.
All right, can we
We're
make,
doing great.
are we done yet with Gateway? Or was that even what we were
I-
talking, yeah. Are we
I
done with
did-
Gateway or do you have
Oh,
something?
no, I'm on planned commercial.
Yeah, let's go to PCD.
Okay, this is where I hacked a ton of information.
Oh, no.
I know, but this is the only one I don't have any comments on, which is nice.
My only comment was, why are we taking away park dedication?
What? Where was that?
I don't know, general standards, 2(1)(d)?
2(1)(d). Park dedication is in our subdivision section of the ordinance.
Okay, so it's just not removed, it's relocated?
Correct. Yeah, it's already there. So this
Okay.
this felt a lot like a lot of information that's in section 42, which is our subdivision ordinance, which is why I took it out here. Park dedication, love it, we need it.
Eric, you got anything in the PCD section?
Not really anything to change, it's more of a gee whiz thing, so in F, when it's talking about utilities, all underground, I'm a big fan of underground stuff, but do we ever run into situations where it's cost prohibitive or just physically not possible?
So far, no.
Okay.
And if it was a PCD, we could talk about it. They could come in and say, we're this great user, we can't make it work with underground and utilities, how can we figure it out
Yeah.
together?
The only reason I asked, I was wondering if we run into any issues where we exclude some people because we can't do the underground utilities.
We did find it cost prohibitive when we talked about putting underground electric downtown
Yeah,
Yeah,
along 40.
yeah.
yeah.
Is your comment, Erin, this feels weird here?
It sure is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's an appropriate spot for it, so I would say our engineering team probably relies on that more frequently, so to have them think they need to look in the PCD chapter of the zoning ordinance is, I think, kind of silly.
I'm gonna stop us here for a second, we're gonna close the public hearing.
Oh, wow.
I don't think anybody wants,
Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
so moved.
Second,
Motion and a second to close the public hearing on chicken. Chickens?
If someone's ready to make a motion, let me know and I'll talk you through it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Okay, so-
I think Eric made the motion, didn't he?
I thought he made the motion to close the public hearing.
well,
Oh,
do we have
okay.
to?
Sorry, the
Oh, yeah, we
recommendation.
have to, that's right. Motion, can I get a motion to recommend approval? Talk to Erin.
So I would say amending section 6-23233 based on comments by the planning commission.
I would like to make that motion.
Sounds good.
Is there a second?
Do we have to vote on closing the public hearing?
All in favor, say aye for closing the public hearing.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all in favor of what Erin, no,
Chris's motion.
Chris's motion for
Chris's
six
motion.
dash 233A.
No, but I can't.
okay, whatever.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Or any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, back to ordinances. Let's get this over with.
Good thing we didn't forget about that.
Yeah. Done that before.
I was gonna suggest 7 chickens, but
Oh, too late.
Too late.
Okay, anybody else have any questions on the PCD section?
No.
Did you get all of our,
I did, yeah.
okay. In that case,
We've provided
we
feedback.
provided feedback. We're to go down. You're okay?
We're good.
Okay, good. We're gonna go down to communications. And does anybody have any communications? Reed?
Yeah, I can just do some brief stuff.
Make it interesting.
So I'm also on the county park board, so we have some good projects that are finishing up. The boardwalk in Baylor Park had been out of commission for 2 years just due to age. That's just finished up and should be reopening in a week or two here. So it's a walk through like a swampy hiking
Nice.
trailer in Baylor. And then they started excavation work on the new playground at Minnewaska Park with the goal of having that done in early September, so.
Okay.
And then just boring city council stuff.
Yeah, we
don't-
can all watch the meetings. Thanks.
So I'll, in the interest of time, I'll let.
Thank you, Reed.
Yeah.
Lincoln, anything?
Do you know about the pickleball courts up there, when that might be done?
In
Is that-
Lions Park, yeah. When's that gonna be done?
Is that this year?
Yeah,
We're hoping maybe in August.
August, I was gonna say, yeah.
You know, it's like.
this is August.
We're in,
I know.
it's the middle of
15th.
August.
I know, I
So
know.
it's,
Middle of August.
The main delay is they have to wait 30 days for the asphalt to finish curing and off-gassing before they can layer on the surface, like the rubbery stuff for the pickleball itself. So they basically had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks so far. They're almost done with that, so it should hopefully be finishing up shortly.
All right, great.
Since Erin's not here. The other Erin. Erin
So
Schmidt.
what do you got?
I don't have anything.
Nothing. Jim?
I don't got nothing.
Eric?
Nothing significant to report.
We had an open house for Creekside Park this week.
Yeah, I was gonna.
It went well. City council will see plans and specs for that project on Monday.
Was I the only one that came?
No, there was 14 people came.
Yeah, it's pretty busy.
Yeah,
Oh, and
so
then
it was good.
Edith Ann.
We presented the Edith Ann Award, 217 3rd Street West. They have a beautiful property. The United Properties piece that we saw a concept plan is going well. We've had a couple more meetings with that team. I anticipate you'll see an application not super soon, just because we have to do the EAW, the Environmental Assessment Worksheet, so that will be a while. The September City Planning Commission meeting, I think, will be large. So I'm thinking we'll see Carver Oaks, which is the CDA's senior project, in for preliminary plat, the United Properties piece in for preliminary plat, and then Les Schwab in for approval. And then it feels like we're at a good spot in the zoning ordinance to maybe do full edits of the things that we've looked at so far, get it back to you in a better condition. I'm hoping Natalie's gonna help me format it, which will be so fun. So I'm
Go, Natalie,
thinking
go.
we'll do a cleaner version for you at the next meeting too. So we'll take a look at all of the things that we've done so far, get it to a spot where we feel pretty comfortable, so we can bring it to city council to start the conversations too.
All right.
So that's all September?
Yep.
Pack a lunch.
Or have Eric do some errands for us before.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, the only announcement I have is don't forget to go to Steamboat Days.
Oh, so
Weekend
fun.
after Labor Day,
That's so fun.
every year. Come down, we'll all have liquid together. All right, anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? This meeting's over.